It's the middle of the night. The fire is low. Everyone is asleep, except for a pair of eyes at the edge of the trees. A wolf, not a pet, not yet. Just something in the dark, watching the camp the same way the camp watches the dark. Tonight, that's all it is. Eyes in the firelight. Give it a few thousand years.
Every camp leaves scraps, bones, fat, bits of meat nobody wants. For a hungry wolf, that's an easy meal, far less risky than chasing down a deer. So some wolves start lingering at the edges of camp after dark, picking through the leftovers, close enough to eat, far enough to bolt if anyone notices. This wasn't friendship, and it wasn't curiosity. A wolf found food near camp, and it kept coming back for more. Not every wolf can handle that kind of closeness. A nervous wolf that snarls at a stranger near camp usually ends up with a spear in it. A calmer wolf, one that can sit nearby without panicking, gets to eat instead. Generation after generation, the calm ones survive and breed, and the jumpy ones don't. Nobody planned any of this. Generation after generation, people did the selecting, without ever calling it that. Calm didn't mean blind. These wolves still noticed everything, a stranger approaching, another predator moving in the dark. When they barked, the camp woke up. Nobody trained them to do that. The humans got an early warning for free, and the wolves got safety in numbers. Neither side agreed to the arrangement. It just started working.
At some point, someone finds a litter of wolf pups and raises them by hand. Something strange happens to the ones that grow up around people. Their ears go floppy, their snouts get shorter, and as adults, they keep acting like curious, playful pups. A wolf like that wouldn't last a season in the wild. Around people, it does fine. Once humans noticed how easy these pups were to live with, they kept breeding for it, generation after generation, tens of thousands of years before farms, before villages, before anyone had a job title, humans already had a coworker. By now, dogs and people are working together for real. Dogs track wounded animals, corner game that would otherwise escape, and guard the camp at night so people can actually sleep. In exchange, they get food, warmth, and a spot by the fire. Tens of thousands of years before farms, before villages, before anyone had a job title, humans already had a coworker. Fast forward to today, congratulations, your dog has domesticated you right back. Back to the deep past, because there's real evidence for this. At a site called Bonn-Oberkassel in Germany, archaeologists found a dog buried next to two people around 14,000 years ago. Bone analysis showed the dog had been seriously sick for weeks, maybe months before it died, and someone kept feeding it anyway. Someone fed a dying animal that couldn't hunt, couldn't guard, couldn't do anything useful. That's care, and the bones prove it. We don't have to guess how this worked either. In the 1950s, a team of scientists in Siberia started an experiment with wild foxes. Each generation, they bred only the calmest individuals, the ones that didn't panic around people, and changed nothing else about how the foxes lived. Within a few decades, those foxes had floppy ears, curly tails, and behaved like puppies for their whole lives, just from selecting for calmness. The wolf story, again, compressed from thousands of years into a few decades. As humans spread into new environments, cold tundra, dense forests, open plains, dogs spread with them and started to specialize. Some were bred for the cold, built to pull sleds through snow. Others, suited to thick brush, learned to flush game out of cover where a person couldn't follow. Same animal, different jobs, long before anyone had thought about farming.
Time keeps moving. Thousands of years after the first dog settled in by the fire, people start growing their own food. Fields spread and grain gets stored in baskets and pits to get through the winter. For the first time, there's a surplus of food sitting in one place, and that surplus is about to attract a very different kind of visitor. Mice show up first, in large numbers. Stored grain gives rodents an easy, constant food source, and they move into human villages by the thousands, uninvited. Wherever that much food sits in one place, something else eventually comes looking for the rodents too. Small wildcats start showing up near villages. They aren't interested in the people or the grain. They're after the mice swarming all over both. Like the wolves before them, only the calmer cats can stick around long enough to hunt there. The nervous ones bolt the moment they see a person, and they miss out on the easiest hunting ground around. Nobody bred these cats, trained them, or decided to keep them around. People simply noticed fewer mice and less spoiled grain and didn't chase the cats off. That's the whole arrangement. While dogs spent thousands of years working alongside humans, cats showed up on their own, solved a problem nobody asked them to solve, and let people believe they'd done everyone a favor. Two animals, two very different paths into our lives. And the story isn't finished yet. Time keeps moving. Thousands of years after the first dogs settled in by the fire, people start growing their own food. Fields spread and grain gets stored in baskets and pits to get through the winter. For the first time, there's a surplus of food sitting in one place, and that surplus is about to attract a very different kind of visitor. 10,000 years later, walk into any house with a cat. Same energy. Put the two side by side. Dogs were shaped by us, generation after generation, bred for specific jobs and bonded to the people who bred them. Cats shaped themselves. They took the free food and never signed up for anything. Both ended up living in our houses. One of them showed up for the job interview. The other one walked in, ate the snacks, and left. The difference still shows today in the numbers. There are over 300 recognized dog breeds, everything from a Chihuahua small enough to carry in one hand to a Great Dane taller than a toddler, because for thousands of years, humans bred dogs on purpose for specific jobs. Cats have maybe 40 or 50 breeds, most of them less than 200 years old, and the differences come down to fur length and color. Nobody was ever breeding cats for a job. Dogs and cats weren't the only animals along for this ride. Around the same time as the farms and grain stores, goats, sheep, pigs, cattle, and eventually horses all became part of daily life too. Each one found its own way in, and people found a use for each one in turn. Back at the campfire where we started, a dog is curled up asleep at main man. Few feet away, a cat sits watching the flames, part of the group, taking orders from nobody. Small accidents, repeated across thousands of generations, add up to jobs, farms, and every animal living alongside us today, including whoever is sitting on your couch right now.